Welcome to the live show. It's been a long time ago. Can you hear me well? Please let me know in the comments if you can hear me well, um, so that all is not for nothing. The sound is clear, the video is clear. Today we'll be discussing the most important question, whether we are in a secular bull market for stocks or not, because everything depends on that. Probably also for crypto, but especially for stocks. And my opinion has changed, so I think it's important to discuss this. And of course, everything depends on that, because when you have a severe corrections of 50% in the stock market only happen when you're in a bear market, a secular bear market for stocks, such as happened from 2000 till 2010, or from 1970 till 1980. And in that case, you don't want to be in stocks, you want to be in commodities or gold. But if you're in a secular bull market, then you don't have 50% corrections. You only have basically temporary corrections of 20%, or maybe half of that, 25%, and that can happen, but it will be quickly. Within a couple of years, you'll make new all-time highs minimum, and therefore you're quite okay to remain invested. It's only during secular bear markets that it takes 10 years. You're basically piling up losses for 10 years, and you better not be in stocks, but you should have been in commodities, and that's too long for most people. And that's why my big question has been, where are we? Are we in a commodity cycle or in a stock cycle? And I've changed my mind on that. I've shared for a long time that I think we're in a stock cycle, not a commodity cycle, and the rise in gold prices is only a dead cat bounce. I've shared that for a long time, but then after 2022 I had taken severe losses, and gold had done well, and I started to change my mind on that. And then in 2023, no, sorry, not only in 2023, when I was analyzing like how could I have been so wrong, and am I overlooking something? Because in 2022 I had huge losses because I had not only failed, I was long crypto, I was long stocks, but also I was short gold, and so that was all wrong. That's how I lost 90% of my portfolio in 2022. And so in 2023 I was looking whether I was wrong or not about what cycle we were in. And I had to admit that there are some problems in my thesis, like gold. As I pointed out, gold mining production has actually gone sideways. That's not normal. That doesn't happen normally. That only happens during a commodity bull market, not during a commodity bear market. And so and that was the biggest argument. But some other things also, certain commodities had really gone up, and now we're already past COVID. That was in 2020. COVID could explain some of these commodities going up, but then in 2022 you had gas prices going up a lot, and then you continue to see certain commodities spike up. Also past year 2024 you had orange juice going up. I believe coffee also went up at one time. You have also eggs, chicken, but here and there you see commodities spiking up. I think there was another argument in favor of commodity bull market. Then you also had the argument of increased tensions, and And that also was certainly the case, that you saw a more wars starting to happen, and alliances falling apart, especially during the later years of the Biden regime. And or the full tenure of the Biden regime, the 4 years, started with a new war in Ukraine, and in Israel things just continued to, well, also escalate. And then you had neighboring countries, Syria, also continuing war to escalate. And so, yeah, all these signs made me think maybe I'm wrong, and maybe we're in a commodity bull market. But now, like, even though gold has gone up a lot in price, actually I'm less convinced that we're in a gold commodity bull market now than before. So when you have to look at probabilities, there's one point I said, like, I'm not so sure anymore. I think it's a 50-50. Like, we could as well be in a commodity bull market. I'm unsure. But now I'm going back to my original standpoint, which is, no, I think it's a very low probability, actually maybe 20% chance or so, that we're in a commodity bull market. And that's not a high probability, and I'm certainly covered there because I also have a 20% exposure in commodities. So, but I wouldn't increase that. And so, what convinces me the most here is that actually some arguments made by Decentralized Dave against this idea were quite good. One of them was that he said that actually, I'm not sure if he said that, but yeah, I think he was looking a bit other data, but I think I'm looking at the correct data, which is that actually gold mining production has, according to his data, it actually did not go down. But yeah, I don't think that's correct. It did go down starting 2019, and it has taken up until today to recover. But actually it has probably recovered, and probably this year, 2024 or 2025, we will be mining more gold again than we did at the all-time high in 2019 or 2018. And that means that the period of stagnation of gold production is past us. And if you then look at, okay, but how long does it take? How long does the gold bull market takes? And typically what you see is that the gold bull market starts when there is a shortage of gold, and that's usually together with when the production starts to decline. That's also when the price is low, when the production starts to decline. And actually that was the year 2019, but it also was the year 1970. It also was the year around 2000, that gold was very cheap, but that you also see that gold production starts to decline, not going up anymore. And that's the point where the prices start to rise. And then the question is, when do the prices stop rising? And is the point where gold production starts to go up, is that also the end of the gold bull market? And well, in one of two cases it is. And in the other, I believe in the 1980s, that was the end of the gold bull market, but it also was the start of the rise of gold production. And then you had the same happening in 2011, the end of the bull market. But the rise of gold production already happened a few years before. But so it was a few years later there, 4 years later. But so you could say on average, the gold bull market ends 2 years after the gold production starts to increase again. And so, well, it could be therefore that if you look at probabilities, that, well, it's probable that the gold bull market will last another 2 years from that perspective, but that's the end of it. And yeah, so that's my conclusion on that topic. So yeah, there might be still be made some money there, but the majority of this gold bull market is behind us, likely, huh? Yeah, because typically it takes 10 years of rising prices, and well, we're already since 2019 prices are going up. So yeah, we're already 6 years in, and it's likely to last only another 2 years. But some other aspects are that actually commodities have not gone up. The past few years, if you look at average commodity prices, actually they have not been actually going up more than 5%. So I didn't look well at that data before, because you cannot just handpick a few commodities and then conclude the same for the overall market. No, it's normal that even during a bear market, some commodities will go up due to a temporary shortage. Same as in the stock market, some stocks will go up even if you're in a secular bear market, but that doesn't make it a bull market. So yeah, I think I was wrong about that. And about international tensions, yes, they went up, but especially during the Biden regime they went up. But that was also the end of a of a very, very bad foreign policy of the United States that came to I mean, where the and I don't think that will continue. Like, I think that America has really made big mistakes in foreign policy, and towards Russia, in the Middle East, just worldwide in Latin America, and people have become much more aware of this and do not want this anymore. And so all this like toppling of democratically elected governments because they are not in line with the US by the CIA and funding opposition and assassinating political opponents on the other side of the world. I think this will go down, and that's necessary. And yeah, I think with the election of Trump, that's really a big direction in the right step there. So even though we had an increase in amount of international tensions, I think that will start to go down thanks to the biggest one of them all, the United States, starting to behave better globally. So for all of these reasons, I believe that the stock bull market, even though certain indicators do point to high valuation, the Shiller P index, I pointed out also a couple of months ago, is excessively high, and it has only been higher during the end of the 90s, which was a clear bubble. But I think that that's not enough for the secular bull market to end. I'm sometimes sharing this 100-year or historical returns of stocks and gold, and there you can also see that that's the original thesis that I've shared a lot, is that a typical bull market of stocks will last 20 years, can be 30 years, it can be 10 years, but on average it's 20 years, and we're not there yet for the stock bull market. And actually we're still in a stock bull market, even though gold did well. Actually the long-term returns of stocks are still higher, the 10-year returns of stocks are still higher than gold. So actually from a long-term perspective, we're still in a secular stock bull market, but gold is now getting very close to higher returns. I believe stocks are around 9% and gold is around 8%. And So another year of the same where gold outperforms stocks, and actually we're flipping, and we can then say that actually we're now in a gold bull market, and not in a stock bull market. But that's also, I don't think, likely to happen. I think that actually gold is an outlier compared to the other commodities. Commodities actually didn't do so well past few years. It's just gold that did so well, because all these commodities that spiked in price, they're back down. Also coal spiked very high, gas, and it's just collapsing to the same price or lower a year later or 2 years later. Yeah, that's not a bull market. It's only gold that really has continued to go up. And I think the explanation there is indeed due to the severe mismanagement of the United States as the leader of the world, has caused lots of insecurity around the world by them, the way they acted with the war in Russia, shutting out Russia from the banking system, continuing, and of course that's not coming to an end, but continuing to support Israel in creating divide and conquer strategies in the Middle East, where they just all neighboring countries, they weaken them by supporting opposition, like what happened in Syria now. They're supporting Islamic terror groups, really, to fight the government in Syria, and they actually won. And now, the Islam fundamentalists are now ruling Syria. But yeah, what signal does that give? And they did so many of these things. They did the same with Gaddafi at the time in Lebanon. Just like quite good leaders. They just toppled them. They are democratically elected even, and but because they want to help their friend Israel conquer more land, they follow the lead of, they help Israel there in creating in seeing these neighboring countries collapse. Proof that's not the fight they've chosen to do. That will be for the future. But when it comes to the war with Russia, and I believe that Trump does make a very big step in the right direction, and they trust the US dollar less, of course, and they've been stashing gold. That's why gold likely has gone up, because central banks around the world, and maybe also big funds, have started to, instead of having such a big exposure to US treasuries, have lowered that. China did that, Russia of course, and have started to stash more gold. I think that's what explains the price and the gold price much more so than a true commodity cycle. And I think that's coming to an end with Trump cancelling likely these measures, reducing the international conflicts instead of also increasing it. And I have to say that, and so therefore I think that stocks are likely to have another 5 to 10 years. I think it's more likely gold will fall back in price, and stocks will continue to well. But of course, not the same stocks, like not the Magnificent Seven. Like it's clear that US stock market is overpriced versus the rest of the world, especially then the leaders, the Magnificent Seven, and so it will just trickle down, I believe. But that also explains how can you have a continued stock bull market if the Shiller PE ratio is so high. Well, you can. Because the Shiller PE ratio is so high, because we're talking about S&P 500 PE ratio, and this one is so high because, it's dominated by a few very large tech companies who have a very high PE ratio. And so, but that's not the case for many others in the market. And so if the valuations trickle down, that means that the PE ratios will go down of these top companies, while the PE ratios of the lower valued companies goes up somewhat, but the end result is that the Schiller PE ratio does not continue to go up, but the bull market continues to last. That's what I think is more likely to happen than a severe correction where the Schiller PE ratio resets. I don't think that's so likely. Alright, let me take a look at the comments. Welcome all, 15 people. Nice to see you. What about crypto? Well, that has a positive effect on crypto. If the stocks are still in a secular bull market, that's good for crypto, because crypto is correlated to stocks much more so than to gold or commodities. And so it's considered as a risk-on investment, similar to growth stocks, even more so. And so, yeah, if the stock market does well, if growth stocks do well, crypto does well too. And I think that's likely, therefore, to continue, more likely than not. Also, if international tensions go down, that's good for something like crypto. The valuation of crypto is good, but the actual usage not. But I think crypto is, thanks to what it is, quite lucky there, because what happened the past few years is that, crypto valuations have had a hard time, with the exception of Bitcoin BTC, but most cryptos are not doing well when it comes to being valued in the market, the price. But actually adoption has been good. Ethereum especially, due to the war and Russia being excluded from the banking system, something like Ethereum has found a lot more adoption, real world adoption, because people need to use stable coins. They cannot use the banking system. And stable coins, well, they use something like Ethereum to send these stable coins around. So that's been good for crypto. And privacy coins also, of course, will likely gain more. People are more attracted to cryptocurrencies when banking systems are mismanaged. And that's certainly been the case with the shutting down of accounts of protesters. They've done that in Canada, excluding whole countries with Russia, but also putting countries on blacklists. Europe did that with the United Arab Emirates. You can't send bank transfers to huge economical centers in the world. Not huge, but really growing economical centers. And then, of course, many people get kicked out of their bank accounts. I get kicked out all the time because, there's a false accusations against me with the case in Kenya. And so these banks, they're not going to take someone on where that's accused of something, even if it's not proven, even when the case is not finished, they're not going to take the chance. But it's even so with, if you trade crypto, you buy a little bit or you sell a little bit too much crypto and you send the proceeds to your bank account from an exchange, a regulated exchange, is grounds for being kicked out. International transactions, be careful to which countries you send money to, because that also can cause you to be kicked out. I've even heard people get kicked out of their bank by their bank because they, or from their broker, because they buy micro-cap stocks. These are totally regulated stocks that are trading on exchanges, but you buy them and you get kicked out from your broker without any explanation always. Always you never get an explanation why you get kicked out. But it's when you study these things you discover like all the reasons why they kick out customers. There are many of them. And it's understandable. Banks and brokers, they have to be very careful not to get fines from regulators. And regulators, they can just fine these, even though those are big banks or big brokers, but if they get fines by regulators, That's millions, sometimes billions they need to pay, and that's years of hard work that goes down the drain, and so they don't want to take any risks. And if a customer is a little bit off, in the profile is a little bit off from the average user, they rather remove it than have to start basically put their KYC and department on it, and I have to start to ask many questions to the customer and start to cover themselves that they did their know your customer research well. They don't want to deal with all that. It's not even worth it for most customers. It costs too much, so they just remove you. So increased regulation has really caused also, banking systems and traditional finance brokerages to become difficult to use, and that's all to the benefit of the new financial system, the cryptocurrency and decentralized finance. So it continues to grow in usage, but I also believe valuation is, of course, it's a boom and bust cycle. But I think that boom and bust cycle, and I think we're currently in a boom cycle, will likely continue. If indeed my thesis is correct that the end of the secular stocks bull market is not finished. CH, hi CH, Decentralized Dave, hi, nice to see you. He's saying, hi Mark, you titled the video Secular Bull Alive and Well. So what is your strategy of spotting the top once it comes? I believe it's likely that everybody, including Tom Lee, will be bullish there. That's a good question. What are the indicators that we're at the top of a secular stock bull market? I have to admit that I don't have a list ready of indicators I should keep an eye on. There's only one list I'm following now, is the one of Sonny Mulder, who has a recession indicator list of 7 to 10 indicators that a recession is likely. And in December 2024, because that's more short term, I'm looking at more short term. I think it's too early to analyze whether at the top of secular stock bull market. No, because I don't think that's likely here, because gold just went up 5 years in a row. Has been a very strong performer. That's certainly not the end of a stock secular bull market. If gold has done very strong. So I think this analysis is for later, in a couple of years. If indeed stocks have continued to perform strong compared to gold, then it's time to make a list to spot the top. But right now, I think the major concern is indeed, is there a recession near? And that's where I follow the work of Sonny Mulder. And in December 2024, a couple of months ago, there were some from the 7 to 10 indicators. There were about 4 or so, or 5 actually, that were red, and that's quite high. But since then it has gone down again. The amount of indicators that say that the recession is near, and I'm not in the camp to think that there is a recession likely coming here, even though I understand there are strong arguments. But I've also shared in a previous Twitter space that I think it's more likely that interest rates will come down, and that will save the real estate market, where there are lots of signs of indeed imminent collapse. But if interest rates go down, it can be extended, and I think that's more likely here. I hope that answers a bit my question. But I have to give big congrats to Decentralized Dave, because he is one of the few that actually has predicted a strong correction in the crypto market. I didn't take his advice, but he himself sold to a minority exposure to crypto somewhere in December, I believe, and that was the right call. Yeah, kudos to you, Decentralized Dave, and I advise everyone to follow his Twitter and his YouTube channel. Mentugo, greetings, Mark. What do you think is the bottom for equities and BTC? Thanks. I think that we have likely reached the bottom, but I have to admit that I didn't call this correction, so I'm not the right person to ask. But I think that it can only go deeper if there's a recession. Indeed, if there are signs that there is actually a recession there coming, and for example, unemployment did go up and is probably understated. It went up more than what they are publishing, probably. They like to falsify these numbers to keep it all going. But I think, I mean, the way they are cutting in government in the United States, employees, yeah, it's only normal that it goes up, but that's not bad. There's a difference of unemployment caused by cutting back the amount of bureaucrats that are doing nothing versus free enterprise companies that are cutting back because of low demand. There's a fundamental difference between that, and I believe these numbers are combined. And in that case, well, actually, we might see a rise of unemployment, but that may not be actually, that may actually be good for the economy. If you have less bureaucrats, actually, that's very good for the economy. So I think that recession indicators are not there enough. I don't think it's likely yet that we're going to a recession. If it would be likely, then indeed the correction may not have. This is not likely to be the bottom. But since I don't think the recession indicators are there, I believe that this therefore falls within a normal recession during a bull market, a strong bull market. And that means you hit the 200-day moving average and then you go back up, which we did. So, yeah, I think we're around the bottom. Yeah, that's my opinion on that. And so the same applies to crypto. But maybe Decentralized Dave can also share what he thinks, because I think he did predict the correction, and he does believe crypto will go lower. I believe, was it 2.5 trillion that he had as a target, and we only went to 2.8 trillion for the total crypto market cap. Maybe you can let us know in the comments. Our assumption on what the market, the RMB, hi. Our assumptions on what the market should do are just assumptions. Sorry to hear about the 90% loss, Mark. Had no idea about that. No problem. Thanks for your sympathy. Johnny Bandit, hi. Gold has outperformed stocks 25 years running. That's incorrect, Johnny Bandit. I share a very good sheet, historical returns since, I don't know, 1918, and I keep track of these. Gold has still not outperformed stocks, and then I've talked about the S&P 500 on a 10-year base average. Still not after the year of 2024, but it could happen in 2025, but it has not done so yet. BK asks, why is your nose so red? Alcohol or lying? What am I lying about? My nose is red maybe because I have a cold, or it's cold here outside. RMB. Stocks are hitting massive technical levels, Mark, expecting a large pullback not seen in many years. This is the problem with fundamental only thinking, guys. Okay, so you're a technical trader. Yeah, I do listen to technical traders. I think it can be interesting, but yes, it's true. I'm not a technical trader myself, and I'm a fundamental investor. And yeah, You may be right that due to that I'm missing something. Who cares about PE ratios anymore? I do, says RMB. RMB also says, has it made a difference the last 10 years, the PE ratios? Well, PE ratios are, I think, a very good indicator, and there are many others. Price to sales ratios also, to judge how high something is valued. But yeah, an important remark about the Shiller PE ratio is you have cycles, but it does trend up in the long term, and yeah, that's a bit in favor of the Shiller PE ratio. It's indeed historically high already, but the trend is up. Every cycle it goes a bit higher. And in the 90s, the last secular stock bull market, actually it went considerably higher than where we are today. So, I mean, if it goes up every cycle, then actually, even though we're as high as the mid-90s already, and so there is certainly risk, it can be going even higher than what it did in the 90s. And that's important also to realize. Blue Alan says, how many years do you think are left in this bull market? Yeah, I think another 5 to 10 years. But yeah, I would say at least 5 years. Exgum, nice to see you. Let's go, he says. Just me says, hi Mark, uranium stocks are down a lot. Any thoughts about it? I'm invested in uranium, but only in the commodity itself via the Sprott Trust, using the commodity fund from Cuppy, H Cuppy on Twitter. He has an exposure to that. He's still very bullish on uranium, but he's also not investing in uranium companies. So I have also no expertise in that. If they act like gold mining companies, they are a lot more volatile than the commodity itself, and so yeah, that's it's just a lot harder to make money there, because they're also capital destroyers, gold miners, and you really need to be very experienced and to be able to do well there. Silver is lagging. Do you think silver will catch up with gold? That's possible, but you know, silver used to be my love. I have been a big silver investor, or not a big one, but I've been very much attracted to silver, and I know the whole story about it. But I lost my passion for it. But if you're in a real commodity bull market, yes, then silver has a high chance to outperform gold towards the end. But I don't think we're in a real commodity bull market, and so I don't think chances are high that silver will outperform gold. I wouldn't take that trade myself. Decentralized Dave says, you agree that we go much slower for equities and crypto if recession is imminent, yes? What do you think about the current outlook for GDP in Q1 in the US is negative? Strong recessionary outlook, that is. I've not studied that, I'm not up to date with that information. But yeah, indeed, the definition of a recession is that you have 2 quarters of negative GDP growth, I believe. And indeed, that would certainly be in that direction. But you have to be very careful with the news cycle. They always trick you into the wrong side of the trade, and it's really organized. These big banks, they actually put kind of news articles out. They are very during a correction they're very worrisome, and then they play the markets. They want the markets to crash, and then later it's that peak fear that they then also go into the market again and bid up prices as the first, and the news cycle changes. And yeah, also Sonny Mulder pointed out that these kind of government statistics get revised later, and you don't hear about it. It's done in silence. So yeah, we have to be careful with that. But what I notice is a very negative sentiment around Trump, and I don't agree with that. Like, I think that actually this is the best that could have happened to the world and to the United States. I mean, of course, it's not perfect. He's making mistakes, and indeed, for example, he's using crypto just as a pump and dump scheme to make money. That's true, but I mean, it's a lot better. A president who's launching meme coins to enrich himself is a lot better than a president who's provoking war with Russia. Like the damage done with one that's provoking war with Russia is a lot higher than one that is taking some money from idiots. Yeah, I mean, it's not admirable, but I mean, that's not a big problem. So the negatives of Trump, of course, he's siding with Israel. That's negative. I agree with that. But that's also how he got in power. Like, you do have to please some strong force to become a president. Like, and this is certainly the choice of the lesser two evils. Like the other side was totally destroying the Western economies, the Democrats and the leftists' view on the world. And what they did was literally destroying the economy. So, I mean, is it an economy that does well or a lot better thanks to less regulations, thanks to pro-business, generally, pro-business taxation, because everybody is focused on these tariffs now, but generally, actually, Trump is pro-business, like less regulations. Like, if you make the total sum of the things his administration does, it's a lot better. Also for crypto, this is a lot better what happens than before. And is that good for the valuations? Likely, yes. So I don't think I think it's more likely that the economy will grow under Trump than it would under Democrats, and that you have to be careful with these statistics. XGum, Johnny Bandit, Ethereum got beat down like a baby seal. XGum says some of these tokens are ridiculously undervalued. Tesla looks attractive at these prices for the long term, says Just Me. I fully agree with that. If you don't have an exposure yet to Tesla, now is the time. Really great investment. The same with Elon Musk. It's seriously undervalued again. Like, this is a dream come true, that someone like Elon Musk is helping someone like Trump to clean up and make the government more efficient, and all the and attack all the fraud and bribery and kickback schemes. Like, that's so important that, and this is happening. Elon Musk takes a lot of flag for this, and it has an effect also on the valuation of the company, I believe. But this guy, is a genius, and not only a genius, a courageous genius. And he's risking a lot, always, putting a lot on the line. But he can see what's really necessary and required, you know, yeah, I think Tesla will just absolutely dominate in the future. I've changed my mind on that also. Like I am now fully in line with the vision of the new vision of Tesla. I think that yeah, to be focused on FSD instead of a cheap electrical mobile is the right strategy, and focusing on AI and robotics. Yeah, that's probably indeed where the big earnings are. Huh? You have to be able to build a monopoly to be making lots of money. Huh? You have to be able to offer something others can't, just copy and paste. Huh? And he's really doing that, going where there is no competition, creating new fields. That's what you need to do. And typically, actually, growth companies don't do that. And like, for example, Google, they find a solution to search. They have the best search engine, and basically 10, 20 years later, that's still their main product. Huh? Like they don't go, even though they have billions in the bank, and they think that they are trying to like push the boundaries. They are not actually pushing the boundaries. Eh? Also not Apple, also not Microsoft. Like all these leading companies, very quickly, actually, even the founders themselves, like Bill Gates at the time, they just sitting on their. Once they made it, they just sit back, relax, enjoy. Huh? But Elon Musk not. Huh? He keeps struggling and fighting, and that only that yields results. Huh? So yeah, Tesla at 250 today is less than $1 trillion. And I think it will be 10 trillion, yeah, in a couple of years. I think that's likely that will tenfold again, simply because of putting robot taxis on the road, small cars that drive people without a driver automatically from point A to point B, cheaper than Uber. It will just take over the market very quickly. They're able to produce millions of vehicles per year. And it will change how people own cars. People will own less cars, and people use a lot more. Basically, yeah, this kind of service to be driven around. So, just that product alone will show massive profits, because it's different to sell a car than to sell a service. Eh? If you have a monopoly on a service, then you're making money constantly. Huh? Like a robotaxi of Tesla, owned by Tesla, driving people around, can make maybe per year 20,000-30,000 of profit. Huh? But it keeps it making year after year. Huh? You sell one car to a customer, he's not coming back for 10 years, huh? Or 5 years. Huh? And you're competing with many other car producers. But when you have the robotaxi, and the others are not able to do it because they don't have the software. Huh? They don't have cars that can drive people around without incidents. They don't have it. Huh? You're the only one. You have to set your prices only a little bit lower than the nearest competitor, Uber, and you beat them out of the market, and you make money every year with that same car. Like, yeah, that's what's gonna make Tesla likely starting this year or next year. Once the people see that, then the value will probably tenfold, huh? Because that's justified then. Huh? And that's just one thing that they do. Huh? They do a bunch of other things that can also really... AI is really the breakthrough here, and that's a bit, for crypto, a pity, huh? Because crypto, was the big thing, huh? But I don't think crypto has done so well, and I'm not so sure crypto will will be as massively adopted as fast as AI products. Actually, I don't think so. Huh? It's very like it used to be very impressive when Bitcoin came on the market, but today that's not the most impressive thing. The most impressive thing is ChatGPT and these competitors, Grok, and you ask a question and they give you an answer. It's like you talk with a human, and you save so much time. Like AI has really made big breakthroughs, and Tesla has been focused on this for 10 years, that they really want to have a car to drive on itself, and for that you need a combination of data, because the problem with driving is it has so many edge cases. There are always there's so many different situations that you have to take into account, and how can you have all that data? Well, the way Tesla does it is it just records everything, all these Tesla cars, it sends it to the database, and when there is a correction, when you're driving FSD but the driver needs to make a correction because the system is wrong, that gets sent to the database, and voila, that's another edge case that was improved. And that's how FSD is becoming so good, and really now allows you to drive without intervention for a much longer time than before. They are the only company achieving that just with cameras, because they're achieving that just with cameras and AI calculation. So the other competitors are trying to achieve that, like Waymo of Google, with mapping, very detailed maps, as well as LiDAR systems, as well as cameras, and yeah, they're using all kind of different systems that's not scalable, and they can't produce the cars also. So they're not going to be able to compete, and so that's why a lot of money will be made by Tesla, because there's no competitor that can do it. Maybe I'm overlooking something. It's possible, maybe in China, but yeah, I don't think so. So yeah, I've increased my exposure to Tesla, and I'm considering to increase it more even. Of course, there's a high risk there. The risk there is that Elon Musk gets killed or dies. Yeah, that's of course a big problem, but the foundations are laid already for Tesla to achieve these things, even when he dies. But of course it would create a massive correction in the stock price. But yeah. Collins, Wahira. Everybody in the news and on YouTube and on X is talking about Trump and Elon and tariffs, but in my opinion, China and emerging markets are what we should be paying attention to. Do you agree? What do you think? I think it's a very good comment that you're making there, Collins. I do agree that indeed China is very attractively valued, and certain Latin American countries, Argentina, these are opportunities. But me, when I look at my actions, actually I have not taken the step to invest there. Instead, I'm just investing more in Tesla, and I think that is justified, because I think China is doing a lot very well and is undervalued. For example, their foreign policy is very good. Like, they don't wage war around the world, they trade. They offer attractive and affordable products, and people buy those. In Africa you see that like most phones and tech is actually from China, it's not from America, it's not Apple, it's Chinese brands. Same with the cars, electric cars, they are killing it, China, and they're going to take over the world with electric cars. So yeah, I think that's fantastic, and Argentina is really leading in bringing reducing the government, and is really on the right track there, and opening markets with the Millet. So I think these are great things. But overall, I think that emerging markets, well, America is still leading, with politician like Trump, with a business leader like Elon Musk. Actually, they are still leading because they do what others don't. They do what politicians in emerging markets do not do. China, for example, well, Trump does allow democracy and is using democracy to rule and to improve the country, and that's actually it's a lot easier and cowardly, but easier once you're in power to suppress your opponents with violence, or with court cases, and that's what's happening in China. Like in China, there's no democracy, and so the ones that are ruling, they stay in power, and of course sometimes that can be going well. Like actually, UAE in Dubai, it's also not a democracy, and in Russia it's also not really a democracy, and so these are all dictators. And some of them run their countries very well. Like Dubai, I'm so impressed how they run that country. They do an amazing job, and Russia is doing a much better job than most democratically elected people too. But I think that in America it shows how democracy is better. And it especially shows on the innovation front, because it's a lot easier to copy than to invent. Especially because what you need to invent, you need independent thinking. And that's really what's lacking in China. Yeah, they're very good at copying and improving even, but not in really pushing boundaries and inventing and thinking outside the box. No. America is really leading there, and Tesla especially, with Elon Musk. So the problem with copying is that there's not so much money in it. When you invent, you really change things fundamentally, and actually it's hard to copy, and therefore there's a lot more money in it. And I think that they're still doing a better job there. So that's why and of course there's also like human rights plays also, for me, even though I see opportunity in China, I'm really disgusted about certain things that they do. For example, how they handled COVID, that was just really a nightmare. Like I would not want to live in China with what happened there. Like people just get locked up in their apartments for years, like killing hundreds of millions of mostly the weakest people, old people. It's very inhumane. Or just business leaders, billionaires, people that made it, they worked so hard, taking everything away from them, not only their business, but also their freedom. And for no other reason than power. No other reason than he's not falling in line too much, we're gonna take it all away. Like what happened to the Alibaba founder, Jack Ma. Like, I think that's despicable. Therefore, I'm not comfortable investing. I don't want to support it with my money. But of course, very, very, so that's my view on that. And the same with emerging markets in general. I mean, developing markets, yes, growth is higher there, but moral standards are also lower there. And that shows not only towards the environment, but also towards other people. I lived in Africa for some years, and people think that people don't realize that crime rates are considerably higher there. Like it's a lot less safe there. The respect for life is a lot lower. And that's not only towards your common black man, it's also towards foreigners. Governments are a lot more corrupt. Like, yeah, it's corrupt in the West. But you've not seen nothing yet when you compare it with certain governments in emerging markets. That's just totally outrageous, and I've been a victim of this myself. I can't believe the things that have happened to me and my family, just for them trying to steal the money on our bank accounts, what they are willing to do. It's unbelievable. And what the things that happen in court, very corrupt. So I think that emerging markets, like, they need to, yeah, of course they are raising their standards by copying things from the West, but they also need to raise their moral standards, and that's a slow process. But if they don't do that, then they also fall back, that's my opinion on that. Are you more in stocks or crypto these days? Asked Blue Alien. I'm 45% in stocks and 20% commodities. 45% crypto, 20% commodities, and so that's 65. And then I still have stocks also, another 20%. So yeah, I would say more. I'm more in. It's about 50-50, but half of my stocks are not growth stocks. They are actually commodity stocks. Like, for example, Valaris is a big position that I have, is a commodity stock. And so, therefore, yeah, it's a 50-50, yeah, I would say. Double buff. Hi, Mark. What advice would you give a 26-year-old Congolese like myself trying to find investors to invest in my gold and diamond mining business? That I have no idea, double buff. But in general, I can give you advice how to find investors. In general, is that cold calling will not work. If people sending me business proposal or investment ideas, I will never invest in that. That doesn't work. I may find an investment via the media or via people talking about it, and then research it, and that way I could find investment. But that's never gonna. I'm never gonna end up in Congo to invest in a gold mining business. No. Yes, I couldn't end up investing in a gold mining business, but it would be one that's recommended by an investment newsletter. Like, I'm following several. One of them is Annelies, a Dutch investment newsletter who invests in gold mining companies, and I would follow his advice. But he would only invest in gold mining or businesses if that company has proven to be managed well for many years. And yeah, I think that's what you need to do as a business owner. You need to be focused on your business and not focused on attracting capital. Focused on the business first, make money. And that really needs to go very well. And then you try to attract investors also, but you cannot put it as a primary objective. There should be a secondary objective. Colin says, sometimes you have gems saying like, you do have to please some strong force to become a president. Thank you, Collins. Wish you did more live friends like this. Thank you, Collins Wahira. Just me says difficult to acquire Zano coin outside CEX centralized exchanges. Difficult to acquire outside of centralized exchanges. Even on the app, I can only receive send and swap. Any suggestions? Now, I don't know how you can DEX via decentralized exchanges acquire Zano. I don't know, but I'm sure there are ways. This run Dave says you follow Sona's equity summary outlook, and even according to his analysis, the equities are due to fall below 5,000. In that case, crypto and Tesla fall much lower. Tesla will fall below 200. Yeah, I've not read the latest work of Sonny. I didn't know that he's predicting equities to fall below 5,000. So I'll have to take a look at that. I do know that he was bearish on the stock market and recommend to sell 80%. But then when it comes to crypto, he recommends to stay long 100%. And I think that's a contradiction. It's easy to say like, yeah, you have to sell positions that you don't have yourself. That's what he did when he says sell 80% of your stocks. But then what does he do with his own portfolio is he remains long 100% almost, or 90%. That means he's bullish, and I've not seen a difference in that. He's still very long crypto. So I mean, it's not really possible that to combine these two. If you think stocks will crash, well, crypto will crash too. So I don't see it in his actions, but in his words possibly, yeah, but not in his actions. Collins Wahira, I agree with your moral standards in emerging markets is very low. Sad, but true. Matt. Hi Matt, how are you? Just me says thanks for sharing your knowledge, Mark. Always happy to hear your thoughts about the global market. Much appreciated. You're very welcome. Colin says, do you mind explaining the Valaris position? Yes, this position you can read more following H. Cuppy on X. It's a oil servicing company. It services oil rigs. And oil rigs are platforms in the ocean that produce oil at the cheapest production cost, cheaper than oil sands, for example. Their production cost, I'm not sure how much it is, but let's say it's maybe $30, and then current prices are $70 a barrel or so. So they're making real money, and but they've been like these oil servicing companies have consolidated strongly. And for example, Valaris is selling at a PE ratio of, I don't know, very low, 5 or 3, I'm not sure. And the book value of the company is like a lot higher than the market value and on the stock market. So like with oil prices going down, certain producers are being priced out of the market, like all these oil sands that they started producing a lot after the last commodity boom in 2008. From 2000 to 2010, oil went up a lot, and yet new oil sources coming online, such as oil sands and tar sands, that produced a lot of oil in North America. But the production cost is a lot higher. I don't know how high it is. Maybe it's $70, $80. And with current oil price going back down, not profitable anymore. And you can see that their production is going down fast. So where will the oil come from? Well, these oil rigs will continue to produce profitably and will likely be expanded again. And then a company like Valaris will profit greatly from that by having lots of business. And then the value can go up. But it's already a good business, like it's making good money, but it's just not valued for it. Blue Allen, other than Ethereum, what other cryptos are you looking at the moment? Well, I'm invested in Ethereum, still Bitcoin Cash also, and also Zano. These are my bigger positions. I still have some smaller old positions. And I'm also invested in, I'm following also the calls of Sonny Mulder. You can follow him on X also, and he's also investing mainly in Ethereum, but he has a lot of other smaller positions also. He's also invested in Link. Yeah, you can take a look at his X for that. Send me a Zano. Yeah, you can paste your Zano address in the comment section or in the YouTube video, below the YouTube video, and I'll send some Zano around. Thank you all for joining. It was nice to see you. Thank you all for the questions. Really enjoying these live shows, and it was very nice to see you. Wishing you all a great day.